Wonderful. Take a seat, everybody. How are you both doing?
Good.
Good.
I just want to say that you are a good and faithful steward. That was merely an illustration. You are the opposite of a wicked and lazy person. You are a good.
Well, I'm still offended, so it doesn't matter what you say, Pastor Mark.
My next sermon is on forgiveness and get over it.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. It's right. My wife has already asked me to do that, so.
Well, which is your wife?
I believe she's at home with the little man. He's a little bit unwell. So they're back in the room. Well, if you were both, how about we just start with this? If you were both not in ministry, not in leadership, not in a church context, what do you think that you would be doing outside of the four walls of the church? Just so we can get to know you a little bit more.
I would be married to a very wealthy lawyer and living the high life.
I wouldn't have been a lawyer. I would have quit anyway. I'd become a sports commentator.
Ooh.
Because I clearly am past the age of playing sports, but I have lots of thoughts.
Amen. So, blues or maroons?
Okay, first confession. I'm not from New South Wales or Queensland, but if you made me pick, I would pick the Maroons.
Okay, let's move on then.
Phew, right answer.
All right, so do you have a secret talent that has absolutely nothing to do with leadership or preaching? Some deep questions to start us off.
Yeah, you definitely have lots of talents.
You played the trumpet, is it?
No, yeah,
I used to play the flute.
I do play musical instruments. I play the piano. That has nothing to do with preaching or leadership. What about you, hon?
No.
Okay, bad question. Let's move on then.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so you've often shared about your burning bush moment at the beginning of your ministry. So what has kept you both doing what you have been doing after all these years? You had the initial moment, but what keeps you going now?
That's a great question. I think it's a bit of what I just shared. I want to get to the end of my life and feel like it's not just the talents that I used, but it was the time that I used. So that's why I don't see myself as someone who will retire. My role will change, my energy might change, but hopefully for the rest of my days, that keeps me going because I am very much, I think in my early 20s, I used to have these, I wouldn't call them a dream, but I'd visualize myself at the end of my life. I don't know when that is and nobody knows, but I'd visualize myself going, okay, what is the Lord gonna say? What did you do with what I gave you? So for me, that's been a motivator. That's not a fear thing. It's just, He's given me breath and strength. I want to run and do as much as I can and scatter seed as much as I can and let God get the glory from all the fruit that'll come from wherever. I'm not in a competition with anyone else. I've just got to run in my lane. And so I think that keeps me going. There are moments we get tired and we're like, oh my gosh, should we, but when I think of it, we're only 19, 20 years into the journey. So it's still quite young compared to that amazing man of God we honored who 50 years? Gosh, 50 years of ministry. That's crazy. Sorry, I forgot his name, but he looked so good for how old he is. Like 50 years of ministry. I've only been alive 50 years. And to get here, all I had to do was not die. He's been dying every day for 50 years, serving people. That's amazing. So I just want to keep going, and I want to be like him when I grow up.
I think for me, it's people's testimonies. And that fuels me. So we have a WhatsApp chat called Global Testimonies, and we get our pastors and our kids and youth and anyone on a team to constantly put testimonies on there. And when you read it, you're like, that's why we do what we do. So-and-so's uncle got saved. So-and-so got healed from cancer. So-and-so, just got water baptized. You hear all this and you're like, this is why we do what we do. We are impacting a city. And so it fuels me to keep going.
Amazing. So your church is a very strong and evident culture, but what would you say that you are most, I suppose, proactive at protecting and making sure that we can lose a lot of things about what we do, but what are the things that you protect the most about your church?
Good question. I think for me, unity is one, absolutely. Anyone who knows me or is on our team will understand how protective I am of unity. Unity is not uniformity. It doesn't mean everyone has to look the same or talk the same. Unity is an underlying commitment. And the enemy understands the power of unity better than the church, which is why he attacks through divorce and division and dissension and gossip. And so I don't like it when any of our staff start attacking each other or don't believe the best of the other or assume, so I'm very protective of the unity. I don't need them all to be best friends. We don't all have to, get along with everyone equally. But I know my job is to keep the body united and God will keep it anointed. Because how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity is like the precious oil upon the head running down the beard of Aaron to the edge of the garments. It is like the dew of Hermon descending upon the mountains of Zion, for there the Lord commands a blessing life forevermore. So the benefits of unity are clear, but protecting it proactively, I think Jemima would tell you that I'm very, if there's someone got an issue with someone, I'm like, let's sort it out right now. Because I don't want even a hint of division. Conflict is not the problem. I'm fine with conflict. It's undealt with conflict. It's mismanaged conflict. And so often I've seen it divide churches, workplaces, families, just because we didn't know how to handle the division and the distractions that come. So I think one thing I'm extremely protective about is the unity of the church. I think the other one would be the atmosphere of the presence of God. That's a huge vital core for us. Without the presence of God, we have nothing. Moses in Exodus 33, Lord, if you don't go with us, do not bring us up from here. I think that's high value. The presence of God has always been the central value for us as a church, and the unity of the people. And I think, for me, that's probably the two that I'm the most protective of.
Exactly the same.
Awesome. So it's effective life and effective...
Okay, you're going first next.
Yeah. It's effect of life and certainly of leadership, even more so, I suppose, in the leadership capacity that you've had to walk in. Can you give us some advice on how to navigate criticism, betrayal, when it comes to leading with a clean heart and continuing to do so?
I think you just got to understand that you don't own people. They're not yours to own. So if they decide to leave your church or they're people, and they're broken. So I think, I know pastors get personally offended when people decide to leave their church. And yeah, I understand it hurts, but then you didn't own them. You don't own their destiny. You're not, and so I think just remembering that helps me not get upset when things like that happen.
And I think forgiveness is a real thing. Yeah, when people hurt you, betray you, say things, whatever, it's actually a choice to have a clean heart. I think it's the other big key to that is to do it daily. I mean, if there's some people that, once a year they have a freedom conference or something like that, and then, it's like you vomit out all your demons and all the pain and betrayal once a year. But imagine if you went every day before the Lord and said, Lord, create in me a clean heart. Here's a phrase: daily gardening is much better than annual exorcisms. Just every day, do a little bit. Say, Father, everything that is accumulating in my heart, take out of my spirit. And if you keep a clean heart every day, just a simple prayer, go to bed with a clean heart. So whoever did whatever that day, God, I thank you, God. You take it out of me. And then wake up, God, protect my heart today. And for everyone that's going to irritate me in advance, I forgive them. Forgiveness is massive. I mean, I think we joked about it, but we don't talk about it enough. And Jesus is literally made it the central point. There's two things that God hates: pride and unforgiveness. And when I say he hates all sin. But those two seem to get a higher consequence. It's like, if you're proud, God will resist you. If you don't forgive, God won't forgive you. And you're like, those two issues have eternal consequences. Every other sin is forgivable and has consequence, but those two are like another level. And I think it's because Jesus humbled himself and forgave humanity. So who are we to have pride and unforgiveness? And I think that is maybe the biggest key to a clean heart.
That's so good. Isn't that good? So what I really want to ask is what we talked about earlier, and that comes down to, I'd coin it as generational pet peeves. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I just did. But are there some things that you could put into classes, Gen X and Millennial, Gen Z, sorry, we're in New Zealand, Gen Z. Are there some things that you are concerned about that you have seen consistently across those different generations that I suppose we should be aware of in whatever generation that we find ourselves in and proactively work against that? Perhaps start with millennials because I'm a millennial, and then you can attack me, and then we can go to the other generations. Is that okay?
I think the millennials and the Gen Zs and the alphas have all grown up with instant. And so instant food, instant text messages, instant communications. When I was in high school, you had to write letters and wait for 2 weeks. Now, if someone doesn't reply in 2 minutes, you're angry. If you have to wait at McDonald's for 5 minutes, you're annoyed. So it's all instant, which I think has affected tenacity and push through and sustainability, and okay, I'm gonna make this work. If I don't like this job, I quit, I go to another. If I don't like this church, I quit, I go to another. If I don't like this marriage, I quit and find someone else. And so across the board, not just, it just seems this instant stuff has created this behavior of no stickability. I'm not gonna stick through it. I don't feel God, okay, I'll try something else. And so I think that's a concern. However, on the flip side, I know that the Gen Zs and the Alphas are the most quickest and adaptable and most flexible generation we've ever had. You can flip, change, do things, and they'll flip and change as fast with you. They're not stuck in tradition as in the older generations.
Yeah, and I think, well, you asked generational pet peeves. I don't think of it like necessarily in terms of a generation, because some of the pet peeves I have, I think I've seen old and young manifest, which think for me, things like entitlement, that's a big one. We're all blessed to even be who we are and to have what we have. So when you have someone of a younger generation, or even, and it's more prevalent maybe in the younger ones, where, you've got people who've paved the way and done what they've done, and then people just expect, even back in the day, you used to give up your career and your life to serve the Lord. Now we're giving people careers because, it's like, what are we? So it's not that you want everyone to pay the same price. I don't have that mindset where I expect the next generation to start where we are. That's not progress. But there's an edge of sacrifice that I think every generation needs to learn, because fire falls on sacrifice. There is an edge where they'll get some things easier than we did, but if they don't pay their own price, they'll never grow in their own anointing. And I think there is something about that we have to find a way to make sure every generation understands and goes after, because they got different challenges, different battles, different demons to face. And yet what I love is it's a multi-generational world. Like if you're north of 50, in my church, anyone who's 51 and older is considered old. Yeah. It's a moving scale. Next year it'll be 52. And the year after that, it'll be 53. I want to be just under the old threshold. But I guess I love the 60-year-olds and the 70-year-olds in our church. They're still active. They're still involved. They're not moved to the sideline while the younger people take over. And I think that's a really healthy thing. You want everyone to be engaged, because that's what the kingdom's really like.
Just picking up on that, how can we celebrate what is coming, the future of the church, while at the same time remembering and honoring the oldest saints of the house, to make sure that everybody is actively engaged in what God is building? So it's not just a young church, but it's a multi-generational church that is an active part of what He is wanting to do.
Yeah, I shared a bit of that last night. I said everyone needs to be active. Everyone can be involved. And I said it last night. Maybe an elder person can't carry chairs, but they can carry prayer. You don't have to do the same thing you used to do because of energy levels, whatever else. So I think it's just about, honor means give weight. I hope our young people would look at the older people and not it's not that they have to be like them, but give weight to the fact they've got life experience, they've actually been through that. It's a two-way thing. The older people need to not keep looking at the young people and go, well, you have no idea back in my day, because they're not growing up in your day and they're not growing up with your challenge. So it's a mutual honor. I think honor is not just one way, it's everyone. Honor one another. I love to see the older people honor the younger ones, and I obviously love to see the younger ones honor the older ones. I think that's a beautiful ecosystem of kingdom culture where we can all actually learn from one another, feed one another, strengthen one another, help one another. And you can feel it here as well. I mean, you got all those young guys singing so talented, anointed harmonies with the two guitars. And just
They asked me, but I just wasn't available.
No, yeah, and fair enough. And thank you for being so empowering and letting the talented ones serve. And just an hour before, you have Pastor Adam White singing, "This is the day, this is the day." So right there, within the same day, you see today and 500 years ago in the same stage.
That's so good. What are you laughing about? Leave me alone. So you're both, individually incredible leaders. Together, obvious powerhouses. How have you been able to allow each other to flourish, give each other room to be who you need to be without it turning into a competition, or when is my time, my chance to do what I want to do rather than walking together?
You ask amazing questions. Zion asks great questions. This is like so insightful, and Jemima's about to give a great answer. Well, really? You want me to go first? All right. I actually think that has been a journey for us. But one of the things that I'll speak for myself, and Jemima can speak for herself, but I think I felt so much lighter, and so did she, the day we just stopped trying to change the other one into our image. So, like, I'm wired a certain way. And if she tries to make me fit what she thinks I should be, or if I did the same to her, like, I expected her as a wife, as a pastor, to be a certain way, you need to have coffee with 400 women and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, but that's not, so I've got to let her flourish and be who she is, and not get mad that I had an image of what I thought she should be, because that image is not reality. And yet, when she's at her best and at her genuine, in her thermal, flourishing with, then Kingdom City is going to win. And I think that's the mutual journey we've been on. And I don't know whether we've done it well, but I think we've definitely got to that point where she's like, that's who he is. It's like, she's almost going, okay, I've tried to say, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, like, but, and we're not talking moral issues or massive, but it's just, sometimes we do have that for one another. Like, I just want you to be more like this, and you want me to be more like this. The day we let go of that, the kingdom won, because everyone gets, and yet we still have to love each other, support each other, and provide that. I mean, that's my read on the journey we've had, to let each other flourish, even though I don't always do it well, and I still place demands on you, don't I? That's a setup there.
I would say in the journey of letting each other flourish, we both have had a desire to want to serve the other person.
Yeah.
So when you let me flourish, then I was like, oh, what can I do to be a better wife? And then you said the same to me. So I think in letting go, we ended up coming back to what we both have made each other better people. And so I think, and I felt the Lord speak to me. Not everyone is like this, but I felt the Lord say, you're his helpmate. So you're not called to the ministry, you're called to him. So whatever he wants you to do, you need to do. And so if he's called to Africa, you're going to Africa. If he's called to this, you're going to this. And so I had to let go of what okay, whatever. But in letting go, the Lord along the way provides surprises that flourish you. Does that make sense? As you serve and submit to your husband and honor him, and just there. So he's like, I want you to do kids. I'm like, okay, I do kids. And so from kids, we developed curriculum and did a whole media thing on it. And I got to express creativity that I wouldn't have if he never told me to do kids. Does that make sense? So
It's so good.
yeah, whatever He's given me to do, the Lord has made those gifts in my life flourish.
And I'll say this, and I've said this publicly before, Jemima is easily I'm biased, but she's easily the best staff member in the history of Kingdom City because of the grace on her life. Like, her ability to make anything incredible is second to none. Obviously, I'm biased, I'm the husband, but she'll tell you, I'm pretty objective in a staff setting. People don't go, oh, there's Pastor Mark, he's going to defend his wife. It's the opposite. However, you don't have to nod so vociferously. But she's not only the most faithful and talented in that way, I also give her 99% of the credit for our marriage. The reason is, the day we got married, she joined my world. I didn't join hers. She changed her name, she changed her country, she changed her church, she changed her covering, she changed her job, she changed her culture in one day after marrying a stranger, as you heard.
Amazing.
So she deserves 99% of the credit. The other 1%, wherever.
Okay, we've gone over time, but I really want to ask one more question. If you could answer this in one word or one sentence. If you could go back in time 20 years, 30 years, and say one thing, one word or one short sentence to that young person in front of you starting in their leadership journey, what would that be? One word, one sentence. That's all you could say.
Change. Don't be afraid to change. You're always going to change. You'll never arrive. God's always cutting things out.
Correct.
He's always cut things, identity. It's a journey, so I'll never arrive until I die. So don't be afraid to change.
I'd probably tell my younger version to enjoy the journey and make sure everyone enjoys the journey more, because probably in my 30s and probably early 40s, there's an intensity and a drive to do what we've done. And so there are moments of enjoyment, but it was more about mission and getting the job done, which I get. There's an urgency, but there's joy on the journey. You know, the joy of the Lord's our strength. It's not just about fun on the journey, it's joy. And there's a strength that comes from having that. And I would probably tell my 20-year-old version of myself or 25-year-old, hey, this is going to be good. God's doing the heavy lifting. He's doing the bulk of this. Just love people on the journey and have a bit more joy. I would have thought that's probably a more important thing that I wish I did learn.
Fantastic. Come on, everybody. Let's give Pastor Mark, Pastor Jemima a big round of applause. Thank you so much.